I'm starting a business. What type of business should I form? Hi. What type of business should I form?
I appreciate the opportunity to respond to your queries. I am Jay Garrett. I'm a professor of legal studies at Texas A&M University in Commerce. I've been doing that for 45 years. I also have a private practice, and I also have some businesses in the real estate industry, a title insurance business, and some other business interests that enhance what I'm doing and teaching in school. I think it's important that, as a student, you learn what the real practicalities are and not just what theory is.
Thanks so much for answering my question.
But as far as business entities, for a person going into a business, there are a variety of entities that are available. For instance, starting out is a personal sole proprietorship. If I was starting a lawn mowing business and it's just me and a lawnmower, that would be the simplest way to do, the least expensive way to do the business. And it requires no formalities, no filing with the Secretary of State for the business entity. If I am using a business name, such as Quick and Fast Lawn Mowing Service, instead of my own name, I would have to file an assumed name certificate with the county clerk in the counties in which I would be doing business or where my home office is. From that, if I have someone else in business with me, then I could go into a partnership. Again, this is an informal type of business, no requirement of any filing with the Secretary of State. We can do it with a handshake agreement, or we can sign a partnership agreement. Again, if we're using a name other than our names, we'd have to file an assumed name certificate in the counties in which we are doing business. Problem with sole proprietorship and with a partnership is with liability. If I'm in a partnership and my partner commits some traffic accident, I'm personally liable. And if I'm in a sole proprietorship and one of my employees causes an injury to someone, I'm personally liable. So those are the big distractions of partnership and sole proprietorship. They are taxed on a Schedule C or a Schedule E if it's a partnership, but they also pay self-employment tax at the rate of 15.3% on their profits.
Oh.
Another form of a partnership is a limited partnership. If I wanted to bring in investors, a limited partnership allows me to bring in investors. They are limited partners. They have no say in the operations. They can't participate in the partnership. They can just put their money in and share profits.
Okay.
Moving into a more complex entity would be a limited liability company. Now that requires filing with the Secretary of State, articles for the limited liability establishment. And then it requires that we have a business operating agreement. The people who are part of it, we call members. It can be member managed, or we can have a manager that is hired to run the business. It's limited in scope as far as growth. These are good for family type businesses. The tax advantage to it is that we're taxed like we're a partnership. And again, that can incur the self-employment tax. But the limited liability company is a little less formal than a corporation. And moving to the corporation is formalized. If I am starting a business and I expect to really want to grow it, and I'm going to need to be bringing in venture capitalists, they like a corporation because it's very structured and formal, and they know that their interests are protected and they have a voice in the operation of the business.
That makes sense.
A C corporation is the standard corporation. It incurs double taxation in that the corporation pays a tax, and then on the dividends distributed to the shareholders pay a tax. So there's double taxation there. That is a drawback. But there is the protection in the limited liability company and in the corporation. For me as a shareholder, knowing that if the corporation injures someone or employee of the corporation injures someone, I'm not personally liable. My personal assets are not at risk, only my investment in the company.
No kidding.
To avoid that double taxation, we have what's called an S corporation. It's the same corporation. It's formed the same way. There's just an election that is signed with the IRS that says we want to be treated for tax purposes like a partnership. And that's the only difference between an S corporation and a C corporation. The S corporation, however, is limited in the number of shareholders. It has a threshold that it cannot exceed for the number of shareholders. These can evolve. I can start out as a sole proprietorship, and I can move it into a partnership, and then I can move it into an LLC, and I can eventually change it into an S corporation or a C corporation, whichever fits the purposes that we have grown into. So that's kind of an overview of the entity choices that a person can make when they go into business.
Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you for asking ADAL, and I wish you the best.